So the Chiefs made a move, signing an extremely speedy receiver that will allow Andy Reid to scheme up nightmares for opposing defenses when they realize they have to cover him, Rashee Rice, and Travis Kelce. And while I don't believe they are done adding players to the receiver room just yet, this one should make many around Chiefs Kingdom happy, and I'll get into why that is in this video, so let's talk about it. But first, how about those? First up, we all saw signs of Hollywood Brown being signed by the Chiefs this offseason, so not a complete left field surprise here by any means. With each and every high-profile free agent receiver getting signed to other teams, such as Gabe Davis, Darnell Mooney, Calvin Ridley, and others, that left Marquise Brown as one of the best available remaining, and he makes complete sense for Kansas City. On top of that, he also recently followed Mahomes, Bobby Stroop, and Justin Ross on Instagram, and Mahomes followed him back. It's not earth-shattering news I'm sharing here, but it was another sign showing he was potentially getting signed to the Chiefs. Then we had this Pretty Ricky 213 guy on Twitter. He blew up recently as he's exposed a bunch of free agency moves before they have happened. And he said, actually tagged me on Twitter saying Hollywood Brown was going to be a Chief. And while I don't normally bother with accounts like this, it's a burner account and not an actual official NFL insider. Again, he's been correct on several free agency moves so far, with the wildest one to me being the Calvin Ridley signing. He said at least 1 hour before the news actually broke that Calvin Ridley would be signing a deal worth $90+ million with a division rival of the Jags. And that is exactly what happened to the T. So we were all hoping for this announcement to take place, and boom, Ricky was right once again. Ian Rappaport just reported this out 9 p.m. March 14th. He said, source, Arizona Cardinals wide receiver Hollywood Brown is signing with the Chiefs. Another high-octane target for Patrick Mahomes. Now get this. He said, one of the most talented wide receivers available. Brown lands in a perfect spot on a 1-year deal worth up to $11 million with a chance to cash in next year. This is sort of like Juju Smith-Schuster coming off of a down year with the Steelers, injured, then played 1 year with the Chiefs and ended up cashing in with the Patriots. He had like a 3-year, $30 million deal. But Brown finds himself in a similar situation. This is less money, guys, than I thought it was going to be. Somebody recently asked me, I think this morning, they said, hey, if Hollywood Brown was to sign with the Chiefs, what would you be comfortable with giving him? I said, well, MVS was going to be making $14 million this year, so probably somewhere around there with incentives drawing it up even a couple more million if you have to. Well, this is a 1-year deal worth up to $11 million, so the base could be several million less with incentives, bringing it up to a max of $11 million. This is an incredible deal for the Kansas City Chiefs, an incredible chance for Hollywood Brown to come into a team, a well-oiled machine, raise his stock up with a chance to cash in next year, and I am freaking stoked. Marquise is stoked too. On his Instagram after the announcement was made public, he said, blessed beyond measures, excited to be a part of Chiefs Kingdom. Then if you look at the next photo, it's actually a text from what I believe is Andy Reid. He said, Hollywood, think red today. KC red with diamonds, wink emoji, Andy Reid. He responded saying, yes, sir. Love the sound of that. Heart, ring emojis, think Hollywood Brown, lights, camera, action with 2 rocket ships. Bro, let's freaking go. Now, let's get into specifics here about Hollywood and how he fits with the Chiefs. He's 5'9", 181 pounds, ran a speedy 4.27 40 at his pro day in 2019, and the former first-round pick of the Baltimore Ravens is only 26 years old. So yeah, he's a smaller-bodied guy, but his speed is something the Chiefs love in their smaller-bodied receivers. I think Andy Reid literally foams at the mouth about these types of guys and draws up plays for them in the offseason while on vacation. Anyway, Brown is definitely a more capable deep threat than MVS was, can complement what KC wants to do with Rashee Rice. They reportedly want to expand his overall role next season, and I think this will also be helpful to Travis Kelce and his production. I'll share why that is in a moment, but here's a bit more about Marquise and how he got to where he is now with the Chiefs. After transferring to the University of Oklahoma in 2017, he racked up over 1,000 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns his first year there, then improved upon that in 2018 when he had over 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns. And a piece of his draft profile highlighting his strengths is why he became a first-round pick. Quote, Brown is the kind of receiver who can take a short slant the distance. He also has run after the catch skills with some moves in the secondary, but mostly is a straight line runner, using his speed to run away from tacklers. Brown has quality hands and route running. He will need to learn more routes for the NFL, but as a speedy receiver, he is adept at running his routes well. An obvious concern of his, though, was his size. 5'9" for a receiver, it's a bit on the shorter side, but after being selected in the first round of the 2019 NFL Draft by the Ravens, I feel like he showed he's completely capable of producing in this league. His third year in Baltimore, for example, was a career high for him so far, catching 91 passes for 1,008 yards and 6 touchdowns. It's also interesting to note that Mark Andrews also had a career year that year, catching 107 passes for over 1,300 yards and 9 touchdowns. So if Marquise Brown is able to take additional pressure off of Travis Kelce, sign me up, especially when you consider the fact that he's 34 years old, are gonna be, and KC will most likely need to dial his overall snap count down in the regular season to preserve him and his body for the playoffs. After that career year by Brown in 2021, though, he was traded to the Cardinals, where he's spent the last 2 seasons. He's also coming off of a down year there, posting a career low 574 yards and 4 touchdowns, but we all know the Cardinals have been an absolute train wreck, so I'm not reading much into his down year. However, if you look at his full body of work over the last 5 years in the league, his yearly production averages out to be 62 receptions for 728 yards and 5.6 touchdowns. Well, I like that a lot, especially when you consider Brown will most likely be the team's 3rd receiving option behind Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice. There's not much else there in the rest of the room. I mean, Justin Watson is still on the team, but he's more of like a wide receiver 4. Sky Moore is still around as well, but he's currently a big, huge question mark as to how he will perform in year 3. Hoping the best for him, but I'm going to temper my expectations. Then, Kadarius Toney, also still around, but your guess is as good as mine regarding his future with the team. And this is why I still think the Chiefs aren't done adding to the room, and why they will possibly add another receiver in free agency, even if it's someone on a cheap deal, and will also draft a receiver in the 1st round or 2 of the draft. Brett Veach is a fantastic GM. He's got the track record to prove it, and also has a solid track record of fixing position groups from the previous year that really needed help, and the receiving room is definitely one of them. Well, one of the issues of the wide receiver room, regardless of who was in there, was the ungodly amount of drops that there were. Well, per Matt Miller, some good news here. Hollywood Brown had a drop rate of just 3% last year, and for his career, his total drop rate is just 3.6%. So thank God, hopefully at least when it comes to Hollywood Brown, some of the drop issues are going to be alleviated. And with all that being said, what do you guys think about this signing of Marquise Hollywood Brown, and what do you make of the wide receiver room and what still needs to be done? You got to let me know your thoughts on this, man. I am personally jazzed up. I'm all the way amped up on Mountain Dew. If you can't tell, I knew we needed a receiver. This was one of the best ones remaining, and we got him. So thank you, Brett Veach, and thank you, Pretty Ricky 213 on Twitter. Really freaking appreciate it. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?